The Oracle Network. Look deeper.
Okay, I definitely have to pee.
Okay.
Do we need to do anything else?
Are we gonna have an intro?
I don't know. Have you guys said anything funny yet?
No. I haven't tried. We'll go pee and then come back.
Okay.
Try and pee in a funny way.
Hey guys.
Oh, we're doing it?
Right?
Oh, shit.
Welcome.
Hi.
I'm Abby.
I'm Shauna.
And this is Anxious.
And afraid, but I'm not afraid. Today.
Today we're in a good mood.
A little bit.
Today is a day of celebration for us.
Indeed it is.
Because there was an election.
Historical moments are happening.
And
we're
happy about it.
So relieved over it. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. So pretty stoked on that.
It's been a while, Abby.
Yeah, we had to skip a week, which is so sad and frustrating because
we were so prepared.
Man, we really planned it. You guys, we really tried.
We had 2 episodes ready. We were so prepared. And then
we had snacks ready. We had fucking vibe out. I mean, the candles and
right.
I had set this whole place up so that we could record. Right. And Michael worked really hard to set up everything. And then, sometimes equipment says, "I'm done today."
It didn't survive. So
yeah, it didn't survive the move.
Yeah, so we're in a whole different place. Mm-hmm. Everything's changed today.
Things are different. We have new equipment. Hopefully it sounds better. I think it will.
Yeah, the solution was more cables.
We added maybe 8 more wires to the equation, and
sounds right.
There's cables everywhere. So
it's beautiful.
Kind of like a landmine. But yeah, this is a cute space. We
love
like it.
I totally love it.
Yeah.
I feel very good in here.
But yeah, you guys it's been a fucking week.
I mean, this week has been a year.
Another year and a week.
I've moved. The podcast is now at your house.
Yep.
And then the election consumed me for a whole week.
Yep.
It was very uncharacteristic of me. I did not turn off the news.
Really? I did the opposite thing, and I pretty much tuned out of the news and only checked in every once in a while because my anxiety can't handle the barrage of information, but also not new information. You're constantly just being told the same thing for a long amount of time. And I'm just I can't handle them saying the same exact thing 15 different ways.
Right. No, you're totally right. But for some reason, I just was consumed by it. So, yeah. So that's been our crazy couple of weeks.
Yeah. And we tried to be together when we all got together for the last election, but obviously this one didn't end in just one day.
No, and they really haven't ever. But
I think that's why it doesn't feel completely real yet.
We're still right? This is happening in real life?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's going to stay for some reason.
We know that there's a lot of work ahead and shit's not going to go down easy. I cannot even imagine how we're going to get to January. So it's still going to be a wild ride.
Carefully.
Yeah, it's still going to be
We've made it this far, okay?
It's the one good thing that happened in 2020.
I think, we saved up all of our cosmic karma for that. And we'll see what happens after.
Oh my God. What a crazy day.
But yeah, enough about that.
Yeah.
We're glad to be back. Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah, we want to try to get back into our routine because nothing has been normal for a long time.
Yeah. And we hope you guys had a good Halloween.
Yeah. It was a full moon. It was a blue moon.
Yeah.
Harvest moon. It was a big day.
It really was. Very cool Halloween. And yeah, I guess Halloween just wanted us to be with Halloween and not record our episodes.
Yeah.
So
we listened to the universe. They were like, you need a break. Things are crazy. Sit down. And we're like, fine.
Yeah, I had bought all this Halloween candy, so We ate
had
a lot of
candy.
that.
Yeah, same. Just me eating all the chocolate.
Yep, lots of that. Well,
I think it's been a while since we've heard from you.
has it?
I think so.
Did
I don't remember much anymore.
Did you miss me?
I do miss you.
Let me tell you a story. You ready for a story?
Tell me something to distract my brain from what's happening.
Right. So I did write this to be told on Halloween.
That's right.
So there are some mentions of Halloween. So everyone just pretend.
Yeah, we're back in Halloween time. Spooky day.
It's October 31st.
Just pretend we're back there.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go.
Let's do this.
All right. Here. This
We're
is
back.
what I wrote. Here we go. Okay. So I know by the time this drops, Halloween will be over, which is appropriate still.
Yes, it's over.
But we got a listener suggestion. And since it's Halloween night tonight, it's not, but we're pretending. I think this story will be very appropriate.
Ooh.
So this suggestion comes to us from a real nice listener named Tanner from Minnesota.
Nice.
So thank you, Tanner, for your contribution.
Hello.
I don't think we've covered this particular category yet.
Really? You say that and I'm always shocked.
Yeah.
Like, what else can we do? I don't know.
There's so many categories
That's
if you
true.
think about it. I mean, it's a subcategory.
Yeah. I mean, there's, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So today I will be covering the ever so haunted Anoka State Asylum.
Fun.
Bum, bum, bum. We haven't done an asylum.
No, I love asylums.
Well, more correctly known as the Anoka State Hospital.
Oh, they're so haunted. All
Yeah.
of them are so haunted.
Well, the term asylum is outdated, and so is the term insane for mentally ill people. But it was initially named the Anoka State Asylum, so I'm going to call it that at first.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready for some heebie-jeebs?
Give me all the Jeebs.
The jeebiest of jeebs.
Yes.
Of the Heebs variety. Okay, so we are first going to start with the history of the place and all the wild shit that went down there in order to make this place so chock full of spooks. Then we will, of course, get to the aforementioned spooks. The Anoka State Asylum, which would come to be renamed Anoka State Hospital, is located in Anoka County, Minnesota. And it was the very first state asylum for the insane, written into existence by an act of legislation. So we are looking at the OG state hospital for the mentally ill.
Okay.
Very first one.
Wow. Like, wait. First one of the state, though?
Yeah, the
Okay.
very first state hospital.
Okay.
Like there was other facilities for the mentally ill at that point, but
Sure.
not like a state funded one.
Gotcha.
And right off the bat, I have a Halloween fun fact.
Give it to me.
Anoka, Minnesota is the self-proclaimed Halloween capital of the world.
Is it now?
And this year is their 100th year anniversary.
What?
Yeah, isn't that cool? And
That
it's
is
like
really
a blue moon, a full moon.
Yeah. What a crazy Halloween night to celebrate 100
Right?
years. That's creepy spooky.
I bet they were like,
That's
man,
cool.
I was like looking at their website, but they were having to like plan things, around like COVID. I was
Yeah.
like, damn, I bet it would have been such a fucking rager.
Right? That would have been so sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, that's cool. So the story goes that back in 1920, the residents of Anoka were getting real tired of their kids being little shits on Halloween night and wrecking the place. You remember what like Matt was talking about?
Totally, yes.
So they would do things like soap the windows, tip over outhouses.
Soap the windows.
Yeah, they like
Let me wash your window. How rebel of me.
I think they like smear like soap on the window so your
So it's
mirror
smudgy.
looks all smeared. Yeah.
Yeah, I get
The
it,
win-
but it's like funny.
yeah, it's just an old timey prank.
Just hose it down and you have a clean window.
Tipping over outhouses. That's
Oh, that's disgusting.
That's vile.
Shame on you.
that is really gross.
Don't do that.
They would also let the cows out.
Aww.
Who let the cows out?
Moo.
Moo. Moo.
Oh man, it's been a while, so we're gonna be crazy
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And we're just in a great mood
We
today.
are just like we lost 20 pounds today. We're just like feeling the joy. Yeah.
Great. Really we're on the same page.
Good.
So the town leaders decided to trick the kids into doing something other than vandalizing on Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Their plan was to create a huge block party and have a costume parade, and all of the kids who participated would get candy and popcorn after.
Love it.
It was a huge success and has been ever since.
Hell yeah.
And it is believed that Anoka, Minnesota was the first town to ever organize a Halloween celebration, which is why they are the Halloween capital of the world.
That's so cool.
Yeah, cute, right?
I bet they go all out. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was like sad for them, because this year would have been...
I know. Like everything is just on pause.
Yeah, dang. This was the year.
Yeah, we didn't have any trick-or-treaters. Like it wasn't really Halloween this year.
No, because we walked... out into the neighborhood. It was like dark to go to his parents, and it was a ghost town. Like you couldn't hear anyone on the streets.
No one was really out at all.
Yeah, it was weird.
Weird. Yeah.
Anyway, back to the hospital. It was built in 1900 as a facility geared more towards care rather than treatment.
Okay.
Also, side note, the year 1900, isn't it kind of crazy to think that like Belle Gunness was not very far away from here, and she's just like prancing around on her little tiny feet, like murdering people? Like she was in Indiana, like it's not that far away.
Yeah,
that's wild.
That is weird to think about.
Yeah, wild. Right. So Anoka State Hospital was a place patients were sent to in order to live out the rest of their days, instead of being sent there to be like treated. Okay. So many of these patients were deemed, quote, incurables. And the first 100 patients were men, although women were also sent there in later years and as the hospital expanded in size. 86 of those first 100 men would indeed die at the hospital, and they were buried in the graveyard on the hospital grounds. Sadly, these men's graves were marked with only a number. No names on the grave markers.
Sad.
Yeah, America still had a long way to go when it came to mental health.
Still do,
treatment.
I think, a little bit.
Yeah, still does. But it got a little better.
It's fine. Therapy's fine.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. But it did at least seem like they were trying to put an effort into treating these people humanely, like,
yeah,
at least for back then.
Yeah, it was like the beginning steps.
Yeah, they were, yeah.
Totally.
So starting with the innovative building plan for the hospital. So the design was called the Cottage Plans, and it was created to make the hospital feel less like an institution and give it more of a homey vibe.
I like that.
Yeah, especially since they were planning on keeping the patients there for a really long amount of time.
Yeah.
By 1917, the facility was complete, boasting 10 cottages, an auditorium, and a new administration building. All of these buildings were formed in a semicircle with a large grassy courtyard in the middle. Each cottage was a 2-story brick building that could house 50 patients, and by the end of construction, a total of 900 people would be able to be housed there. This is a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah, and what I find was probably the most unsettling thing about the construction of the place is there's like a very intricate tunnel system built underground to connect all of the buildings.
Why is there always underground tunnels?
I don't know. It's very like American Horror Story Asylum. I don't think you watched that show, but
no, but
man, there are some tunnel scenes in an asylum, and it is like
I mean, I feel like Ghost Adventures have covered a few asylums and a few tunnels, and it's creepy.
Tunnels, man. In the early years, the hospital was pretty much self-sufficient. They grew and harvested their own food, and patients were encouraged to hold down jobs like cooking, cleaning, laundry, and maintenance at the hospital as part of their treatment. Which, I don't know, I don't really see anything wrong with that as long as they're being treated well.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of like want them to do like normal everyday activities.
Yeah, they get like outside and fresh air and whatnot.
And it makes you feel productive and better when you have a clean environment. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah. But of course, this place is now currently haunted, so we know the good times couldn't last.
No, never.
In 1920, an influenza outbreak tore through the hospital, claiming 176 of the patients' lives, which is that's a lot. It's rough. And because of the way mental health was viewed in the early 1900s, the state's version of humane treatment is vastly different from how we treat and handle mentally ill people now.
Yeah.
Hospital records show that the more dangerous and unpredictable patients were restrained with straitjackets and leather straps. Some were forced to wear leather mittens. Some were put into seclusion rooms until they could calm down. The less dangerous patients were allowed to move around with relative freedom.
Yeah, we didn't know how to do that.
No.
That's not okay.
Yeah, it was, just like reading the interviews, they're like, they would just like, they'd be in these straitjackets. What did they call them? They called them like petticoats or camisoles. They called them camisoles instead of straitjackets.
That would make me go insane, just wearing a straitjacket.
Right. And they said they would just like spoon like mushed up food into their mouths. And it was just like really, not good. Security on the premises was either completely lacking or just not patrolled well because patients would frequently wander off the property into downtown Anoka.
Uh-oh.
Some of them wandering into shops and occasionally shoplifting. But, of course, you don't have to be mentally ill to commit crimes. Assholes prove that to us every day, and the assholes of Anoka were no different. While some patients did certainly wander off the property on their own terms, other female patients were sometimes lured off the property by despicable scumbags using drugs and alcohol in order to sexually assault the mentally ill women.
Taking advantage. Icky.
It's like so deplorable.
Ugh.
It makes me like fantasize about a magical button that you could push and it would just take away a man's penis. Very clean.
You misuse that thing. You don't get it no
just
more.
like bippity boppity boop, no dick. And like they could still pee, but they would be like a Ken doll down there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah. And I think sexual assaults will go down.
I think they would care a little bit more about their penis.
I'm not saying it would hurt. It would just boop.
Bippity boppity boop, no dick.
No
like
dick.
you said.
Yeah. And if you're good, you can have it back. I think that would work.
I think that can happen. So get over it.
We're going to figure it out. All right. So as the years went on, overcrowding became a large issue, with numbers swelling up to 1,300 patients. Remember, they're only supposed to house like 900.
And now they're at 1,300.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Funding was always an issue, of course, and the conditions of the state hospital began to greatly decline. One of the big contributors to overcrowding at the hospital was the fact that many of the people who lived there were not actually mentally ill. A large majority of the patients were women at this point. Surprise, surprise. Mm-hmm. It was pretty easy for husbands and family members to commit their wives or daughters based on their word alone.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you disobey me, you have like a clack back at me or whatever.
A clap back?
I said clack instead of clap.
You're clacking back at me? Institutionalized.
You're now in the asylum. You're insane.
Yeah, so didn't take much. They could just throw them in there. Mm-hmm. Another big issue contributing to overcrowding was the fact that the state didn't really have a solution for their elderly population. So if someone was too old to care for themselves and nobody else was going to do it, they would just send these people to live out the rest of their days in an institution.
That's heartbreaking.
Isn't that? Ugh, makes me so sad. Oh, it's so sad. About 30% of the patients were elderly men and women. 30%.
Just because they couldn't take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they didn't have old folks' homes back then. They didn't have elderly care.
No.
Yeah. Another portion of the patients were simply homeless and penniless people with nowhere else to go. Mm-hmm. And especially like this is happening around the Great Depression. So there's just people who just, they don't have anywhere else to go. So they go to this institution where they're not treated well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not good. As the overcrowding rose and the staffing continued to be short and the funding meager, conditions in the hospital became shameful. There was a small number of doctors and nurses on site. A majority of the care was done by attendants, is what they were called, which were workers who mostly had an 8th grade education or lower. Mm. And these workers, at least in the early days, had a terrible work schedule. These poor people had to work 15-hour days, 7 days a week, with no paid vacation or holidays.
Ew, this is why we have rules.
15-hour days? When do you even live? When do you live?
You don't. That's not even enough hours to sleep.
What the fuck?
To do another 15-hour day?
And then expect that person to give good care.
No. No.
So bad. It's like no wonder they were mistreated. They would probably hate the patients after having that job.
Yeah.
They'd probably like resent them for it.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Oh my God. Messed up.
Then the hospital introduced new treatments that were pretty popular at the time, which was in the 40s. Any guesses?
Lobotomies.
That's one.
It's the worst one.
Electroshock.
Yep.
Ooh, yeah.
One
right.
more. One more for the trio.
We got lobotomies, electroshock. I don't know.
Are they drugging them?
This is another.
Ooh, the ice water.
Yeah,
Ooh.
hydrotherapy.
Ooh, no.
Yep,
That sounds like all torture. It's all torture.
pretty bad. I mean, I think electrotherapy is still used today with success. I think in certain cases. I don't. It's not like it was back then where they just fucking shocked you if you were being bad.
It's
Or
a little more targeted.
yeah.
They can put that net on your head, and it's
Interesting.
low voltage.
Yeah, they're not just like electrocuting you when you've misbehaved or something.
Right.
But yeah, pretty archaic. They did lobotomies.
Mm-hmm.
So sad.
Yucky.
Yeah, so hydrotherapy was introduced in the 1950s. Electroshock therapy and lobotomies were performed probably in the 50s, but even earlier, maybe in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And so now people are starting to believe that mental illness could actually be cured, by poking a hole in your brain or getting electrocuted.
No, I don't understand the logic.
Yeah, they're like, you're cured. I fucked up your brain and now you drool. You're welcome.
No.
Yeah, not good. Due to the dire conditions at the hospital, word was starting to get around about how people were being treated at the facility. Mm-hmm. Anoka wasn't the only one either. It was one of 7 mental hospitals within the state, and they were all terrible for pretty much the same reasons.
Oh, man.
There was one attendant who worked at the Anoka State Hospital, and I only know about her because I listened to an episode of a podcast called the Commonwealth Club of California.
Sounds so interesting.
Very obscure. It's kind of like C-SPAN.
Yeah.
But it was a live speech from the author of a book called The Crusade for Forgotten Souls, Reforming Minnesota's Mental Institutions. And the author's name is Susan Bartlett Foote. And within her book is a true and a very obscure story about a hospital worker who was astonished with the treatment of patients at the Anoka State Hospital. She refused to put people in straitjackets and would often voice her concerns for the patients that she helped. And she was labeled as a troublemaker. Mm-hmm. Her name was Angla. She was Norwegian, and apparently Angla is Norwegian for angel.
That makes sense.
Cute.
I like it.
Well, in all of the Google searches I did, I never saw this woman come up as an important part of this story, and that's probably because she was poor, single, middle-aged woman. Mm-hmm. But she apparently was kind of a whistleblower for the hospital and the way it was treating its patients. She was integral in helping expose the conditions, and I think it's important that she's mentioned in it because I don't really see anyone else talk about her.
Yeah.
She kept extensive journals during her years working at the hospital, and I actually have some of her written accounts.
Ooh, okay.
Of some of the stories of the poor people she encountered at the hospital. She was the only staff member to actually talk to the patients and treat them like people.
Wow.
So she would remember and then write down their stories.
Aw, she's like a little secret badass.
Yeah, like back then, the hospital staff wasn't trained to actually talk to the patients.
That's so infuriating.
They literally, they treated them like cattle. Like, they gave them orders and directions.
Yeah, like animal. Like, it doesn't. No. Okay, I disagree. But continue.
All right, so here's some of her entries.
Okay.
Quote, Lucille, unwed and pregnant, was committed by her mother. She gave birth at the ward. The baby was taken away, and Lucille was restrained for months, then lobotomized.
For literally just being pregnant? And unwedded?
Yeah, and this is a quote from the girl. Quote, they can't do this to me. It's my baby. I'm its mother. I gave birth to it. They can't tear it from me like they can take a calf from a cow. All I needed was a fair chance.
Oh my God. That's
Isn't that
so sad.
fucking heartbreaking?
It makes no sense. It's so needless.
Your own mom.
Yeah. Oh, bitch. You were
Lobotomized?
not
kid?
chill. No.
Because she got pregnant? Like, ugh.
Oh,
The
I
times.
just don't understand, but okay.
Very upsetting. Okay. Here's another one. Dr. L, whose dental practice collapsed during the Great Depression, came looking for respite. Or is it respite? Is it respite?
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you saying?
Am I pronouncing that word right? Respite? Or respite? I think it's respite.
I think so.
Okay.
What is it?
It's like looking for rest. He came there.
He needed a place to sleep.
Yeah, he came there looking for shelter, looking for a break, looking for,
Weird. Okay, I've never heard that before.
It's not a word I think I've said out loud before.
Never heard it. But...
Read it a lot. Okay.
So sad. So, okay.
Anyway. So he's there. He's looking for a break.
Yeah.
All right. Quote. Maybe all I needed was a rest. I'm not sure about the need of these shock treatments. It seems to make me forget. Do something to my memory. Maybe fishing on the North Shore would have been just as good as shock treatment.
Oh.
Isn't that sad?
It's so sad.
His his life collapsed because of the Great Depression. Like that.
Yeah, that's not his fault. And now he has nothing and is treated like nothing.
Yeah, he's getting fucking electrocuted.
Oh, it just makes no sense.
Mrs. V, with advanced syphilis, had married at 17 and contracted the disease from her husband, who committed her. Quote, he has another woman. He never comes to see me. He took her here and left me. He took me here and left me. Ugh. What a dick. He gave her syphilis and then left her because she, fell ill to syphilis.
It doesn't help my rage against men sometimes. So I'm raging on the inside a little bit.
I think you're allowed to rage at this time period for sure.
Oh, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I didn't
can't
live in
just
that
be
time
committed.
period. Oh my, literally we have a period, boom, committed, you're a witch, or oh my god,
you're hysterical.
Existing as a woman does this so hard. I don't understand it.
Okay, here's another sad one. Mrs. C was a quote colored lady on a ward with patients requiring little supervision. Clear-minded, well-informed, and intelligent, she was moved to the most quote assaultive ward, which is reserved for violent inmates, after being harassed by a white patient. Quote, there was terrible noise and obscene language and 2 huge attendants walking around spouting threats, trying to maintain order. I found her crouched in a corner near the dining room, shivering with fear and humiliation. When I left, she said, come again. It's just like somebody from heaven coming to hell to see me. They put her in the violent section for inmates because she was black and got harassed by a white inmate.
Yeah, I mean, not surprised. Sadly, I'm just speechless because I'm so angry.
I know. When I was reading those, I was just like, I'm so mad. I'm so mad.
Yeah, humans don't have a good track record of taking care of other humans.
Yeah, that was rough. So that's the end of those.
Thank you.
Very
that was
depressing, depressing things that she wrote. But I think it's important to know how it's important. And I find it morbidly fascinating just to see God, what people are treated like back then. It's just so crazy.
It's an authentic look into how it was
very authentic.
Actually done. It's cool that she actually wrote it down on record.
Yeah, and I think that's what one of the author was talking about that in the speech. She was like, this information is so valuable because this woman wrote this without looking for anyone to ever publish it. She was just writing down her day.
Oh,
and she wanted to be a writer someday, so she would write. And there was this whole story about her and how she after the whistleblowing thing, she got a better job and then eventually bought a typewriter and lived
her dream as a writer.
Yeah, and became a mental health nurse. And
wow,
it was very cool.
Women are badasses.
I was proud of you, girl.
Yes, bitch.
Tell your story to 200 people that listen to us.
Right. It's a little something.
I think it's maybe a little more than that, but it's fine. All right. So let me find my spot.
What do you listen to in between episodes of Anxious and Afraid? How about a scary episode from another indie creator? Check out Scary Time.
Lock your doors, check under the bed, and turn on a nightlight because it's time for the scariest stories, history, and conversations ever heard.
Every week, an independent creator tells us about the paranormal,
Ghosts,
monsters,
hauntings,
creepy places,
enchanted objects,
aliens,
and more.
Best of all, if you like the creator, you can follow them for more great content, if you dare.
And you guys, we are being featured in this series. Our episode, The Dybbuk Box, is in there. So if you haven't listened to that, make sure you check it out along with a bunch of other awesome creepy podcasts.
That's awesome. And you can check that out with the link indiedropin.com.
We will also have the link in the show notes, even with one directly to our episode.
Stay tuned for more Anxious and Afraid.
Okay. In 1948, a reporter and photographer toured the 7 state mental hospitals, and their report finally shed some light on the conditions these people were living in the facilities. The photos were graphic, and people were finally starting to look at mental health differently, realizing that these people deserved dignity and respect.
Oh my God. What?
Imagine.
Wow.
The governor at the time, Governor Luther Youngdahl, was allegedly furious when the report came out, as he was the one who had allowed the reporters to tour the facilities, but which kind of looks bad on him.
Mm-hmm.
But he ultimately decided it would be best for his political career and image if he got in front of the scandal before it dragged him down.
Yeah.
So this dramatic little hoe goes to the Anoka State Hospital on Halloween night in 1949. And has all of the straitjackets and leather restraints gathered. There's hundreds of them. He makes a grand speech, which I read online, to over 1,000 people about evolving from the dark ages in terms of mental health and how they must do better by these poor, sick people.
Yes.
Then they lit it all on fire.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, it's very dramatic. It's like Halloween, and they have this bonfire of straitjackets.
Yeah.
The governor moved to increase funding to the hospitals and initially succeeded, but as we know, politics ruin everything, and 3 years later, the budgets were again slashed.
Yeah.
No surprise there, America.
Bummer.
In the 1950s, psychoactive drugs were introduced for treatment, and in the
Nice.
Noise. And in the 1960s, a move to deinstitutionalize patients happened all across the country.
Nice.
Community-based care like nursing homes, chemical dependency treatment programs, and troubled youth homes were finally being created and funded, which cut way down on the state hospital population.
See, there you go.
Yeah. At the Anoka Center, the number of patients dropped from 1,085 in 1960 to 476 by 1970.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Although at this time, security at the institution was still pretty lax, and patients would sometimes wander into downtown Anoka. Mm-hmm. Sometimes shoplifting, setting fires, sometimes vandalizing, some just loitered or window shopped, just having a good time.
Just rocking the streets.
Yeah. But one particular patient did something pretty awful.
Uh-oh.
Christopher Jesse Lindler was a 25-year-old patient at Anoka State Hospital. He had been committed on April 7th, 1976, after being diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. He had shown examples of antisocial behavior dating back to his childhood.
Okay.
On the night of July 14th, 1976, Lindler decided that 4 months in this crap hole was enough for him. So he waited until one of the hospital attendants left their keys unattended.
Ooh.
Apparently, escaping from this place wasn't super duper hard.
Doesn't seem like it.
He grabs the keys and then he made a run for it, jogging across the field that separated the hospital from residential neighborhoods that I would definitely not live in.
Right, and they don't lock their doors.
No, they probably don't.
Mm-mm.
Lindler starts quickly looking for a place to hide and lay low for the night. He finds a shed behind someone's house and posts up there for the night.
Okay.
Which is so creepy to think about because we have a shed. Michael.
No.
Someone could just be living.
You check that every night.
No.
I won't. Yeah. So in the morning, Lindler wakes up and breaks into the home on the property in order to find clothing, food, and money for his great escape. He brings a lead pipe with him, and once inside, he sees the startled 68-year-old widow named Mary Galbraith. He quickly subdues her by viciously beating her head with the lead pipe until she passes out. The neighbor hears the commotion and calls the police, who enter the home to find Mary Galbraith. Damn, that's a hard name. Galbraith.
Is it Galbraith?
It's Galbraith.
Okay.
Galbraith?
Oh, okay. I see.
Is that right?
It's all good.
Sure.
So many sounds. Yeah, so this poor woman, they found her lying in a pool of her own blood on the bedroom floor. Still barely alive.
Oh, awful.
They find Lindler in the kitchen, drunk off his ass, and yeah, he's just drinking heavily.
Yeah, I mean, he's
in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Mary was rushed to the hospital, but died 2 days later from her injuries. Lindler was subsequently found guilty of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison. So after this escape and murder, the community was in an uproar about the hospital.
I bet.
They were demanding that it be shut down.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't shut it down, but they did increase security.
That's good.
Yeah, allowing the city police to take over security in 1986. But in 1999, almost exactly 100 years after it opened, the state hospital was finally shut down, and its patients were moved to a new facility. That's crazy. That it's like, one more year, and it would have been exactly 100 years.
Yeah.
So many things, 100-year anniversaries. The state gave the facility to the county, and in 2017, 3 of the cottages were renovated to house veterans, and in 2019, they added a 4th. That's cool. Veteran housing.
Yeah.
But most of the other buildings have been closed due to their dilapidated state and are off limits to the public. As for the cemetery, located on the grounds, 400 patients were buried there, most of them unnamed until some advocacy groups put in some effort to track down each patient so that they could have their name on their headstone, which is really nice.
Aww.
Fun fact, the local high school is right next to this cemetery. Like, sure offense.
Oh, that's totally chill.
Can you imagine the amazing goth hangout spot? Like, that would be...
That's where they would smoke.
That's where they would smoke.
Yep, for sure.
For sure they would smoke there.
That's like, the best place for them.
Man.
We just had a regular park.
Yeah. There was no dead people. Although... dark history at our school, actually.
Dark turn.
Ooh. R.I.P. Okay, moving on. So that's kind of it for the history of the place.
Okay.
I actually dug up a lot more than I thought I would, because I was like, I've never heard of this place. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I had a good time researching. So now let's talk about the hauntings.
Love it.
The spooky ooky, if you will.
Yes.
Surprisingly, there wasn't a ton of info recorded on the internet, and I think that is due to the fact that some of the buildings are completely closed off to the public, which means that all of the paranormal ghost bros can't go inside to make their YouTubes.
Bros.
Yeah. And then other buildings are still in use. And I did see some comments left by people claiming to have stayed in the veteran housing, or they worked there. Some people said that they never noticed any activity that would make them think that the place was haunted, although others would say that they never felt welcome while at the facility, and they always felt like they were being watched. Others would feel cold spots and hear disembodied footsteps. Some would hear crying or soft whispering.
Oh, yeah.
One of the creepiest parts about the facility is the underground tunnels, right?
Yeah.
So... I guess the underground passageways in Minnesota aren't actually uncommon, because the winter there is so goddamn brutal that people don't want to have to brave the cold in order to move patients to another building.
Oh.
So they just build underground tunnels.
Okay.
And then you never have to go outside.
Okay.
It's beautiful. We need to build a tunnel from my house to your house.
Yeah.
And to Jesse's house. And maybe a few other houses. And then that'll be good.
And then we'll be mole people.
Yeah. And then we'll be Ninja Turtles.
It's the future.
Sounds like the best.
We'll eat pizza and like fight crime.
I like the pizza part.
You like the pizza? Do you want to be Donatello? I don't remember which one's the cool one.
Michelangelo? I don't know.
I want to be the cool one.
I used to be really into the Ninja Turtles.
Me
as a
too.
kid. I thought they were so cool.
I remember watching it so much. Now I can't remember almost anything about it.
I know, but they were great.
Sad. All right. So yes, creepy tunnels. From what I read, they are completely closed off now and no longer in use. In one of the videos I watched, this guy was touring the grounds, and along the pathways in front of the buildings, there's these like square, squat brick structures that had windows on them, and inside you could see that these led down to the tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
And they were used for like lighting and ventilation before electricity was a common thing.
Okay.
In a later video I watched, those windows were all boarded up. So I think that indicates that the tunnels are probably all closed.
Mm-hmm.
But what is supposedly the creepiest part about these tunnels was patients who were trying to escape would flee to the tunnels, hoping to find their way out. But of course, they would inevitably get lost in the labyrinth. And the stories say that distraught patients would eventually give up and commit suicide by hanging themselves from the pipes that ran along the ceiling.
With what? Like they're sure?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or
Probably.
just like even worse is like you just get lost, you lay down and you just wait to die. Like you starve, but that would take forever.
Because this is back, before like, I don't know if there was electricity always in the pipe or like in the tunnels. It'd be dark and like cold.
That sounds awful.
Or hot, depending on. Ugh.
It sounds like the worst, slowest way to go.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Supposedly, there's also scratches on the concrete walls made by some unfortunate person, as well as the words "no" written over and over on a wall. I didn't see any of that, but
ooh, that's creepy to think about, though.
Yeah, if that's true, that is really creepy. I didn't find any specific stories to substantiate the claims about the wall scratching, or the suicides really. But what I did read was that there definitely were suicides that happened there. Some say that they ended their lives in the facilities. Some ended their lives in the tunnels. Some found their way down to the Rum River, which ran alongside the property to drown themselves.
Oh, I could not drown myself. How do you drown yourself?
Yeah.
I could not. No.
That's sad.
That's how you do that. Okay.
Put rocks in your shoes.
Oh, no. I just...
I think that's... Anyway.
Yeah, you're probably right, but I don't like it.
No, it's very sad and dark and terrible. Yeah, so I watched as many videos as I could.
Good for you.
Of ghost hunters touring the grounds. But there wasn't a lot, surprisingly.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get like a feel for the place and see if they actually got anything. And I must say, some of them did get some creepy stuff. Like, I was surprised. Pleasantly surprised.
Good.
In general, it seemed like most of the people who went there said that they felt like they were being watched, and some felt very unwelcome. Some reported seeing the figures of people standing in the windows of the abandoned buildings, looking down on them.
Of course, classic.
I actually saw a couple of photos that people took. I'll see if I'll put them up and see if you guys think they're real or not.
Yes, please. Even fake ones. I just love debating if it's real or not.
Yeah. The way the buildings are laid out in a circle, when you're in the middle in the grassy courtyard, like, I imagine it would feel pretty creepy.
Oh,
There's just so many like dark windows staring back at you.
Yeah, I mean you're in the center.
Yeah.
Of vision
of like all of these like little brick houses.
Yeah, that would be weird.
In one of the Ghost Bro videos, he has that spirit box thing where it spits out the words, the
robotic words. Yeah.
They were also using an app on their phone that was pretty cool. It was called Necrophonic.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of similar to the box thing. I don't know. It was kind of cool. I think it sounded a little better. The words were more clear, but anyway, one guy goes to one of the closed cottages. Also, it's kind of funny because they're doing this in Minnesota winter, and so everything's fucking icy.
Totally.
And they have to walk down these stairs. It was funny.
Big guys.
Yeah, they're trying to be like tough, and they're like, "Ooh, this ice!
I'm slipping, bro."
Yeah. So he goes to one of the closed cottages, and he walks down these steps that were icy into a little alcove area, which is another entrance to the building, but it's locked. So he's just chilling in there, trying to talk to ghosts, and he hears a lot of things, and it does get pretty creepy. I think part of it's because it's kind of echoey where he's at.
Sure.
But he's trying to ask the generic questions of like, who are you? Were you mistreated? Do you want to talk to me? And this guy at first had different voices telling him to leave or go away.
Okay.
And then he heard a bunch of different voices all at once. Like the room was crowded, and that part was so creepy. And I heard a woman moan, and another voice said hello, but it didn't sound like all of it was coming from the phone. Like it sounded like his app, it sounded like it was happening in the room.
Right, like you can hear it with the ears.
Yeah, it was creepy.
Oh my gosh, I have chills just thinking about it. Oh, I totally believe there would be like hundreds of spirits there at the same time.
Yeah, or like if you're just catching you know, a moment in time of like
that residual energy of just like
a crowded,
really
overcrowded,
sad moment.
There would be a lot of energy there, I would assume.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. I also heard the very distinct sound of an infant crying, which gave me chills and made me think of that poor girl who got lobotomized. Yeah. But the ghost dudes didn't even mention it in their video, so I don't know. Their baby daughter is probably not great.
Baby daughter.
It sounded like a baby though. I was like, that was a baby, but they didn't acknowledge it. No.
Oh, interesting.
It was creepy. The spirits also said both of the ghost hunters' names and at different points.
Cool.
In another area, they asked if they should be there, and the voice in the spirit box said, "Leave now, run." Ew.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, okay, see ya. They kept asking the name question over and over again, and then the spirit box said, "I said it, and I'm sick of it." Which I think is hilarious.
That is hilarious.
Because I would be sick of it too if a bunch of ghost dudes were constantly coming in like, "Hey, were you mistreated? Did somebody electrocute you?" Like, and I'd be like, "Fuck off." Okay, yes they did, and I'm dead.
And I'm still feeling it.
And because they ask the same questions over and over, even if they give them an answer, and I'm like, yeah, they're irritated now.
Yeah, that would be irritating.
Sick of it.
Get out of here.
I'm sick of you.
I said it already.
So they got a lot of action with like the box, but they didn't have any like visual disturbances or physical disturbances as far as I could tell.
Okay.
On a couple of different sites, I saw people talking about seeing a woman in red, but I couldn't find anything more about that either. I feel like that's always a thing. It's always like,
it's really hard.
There's a woman in red, or there's a woman in white, and she's always a bride, or something wronged in some way.
Yeah, totally.
And she hates men.
They say that's a common thing, is a woman in white, red, or maybe even black.
Yeah.
Or
brown.
A lady in brown dress, a chocolatey brown.
Brown, perhaps?
I forgot. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was your episode.
I know, and I'm like, dress is red and white, black.
No one wears a brown dress. Gross.
It's unique.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much all I could find. And I dug deep, but like, if you have any experiences, like, I want to hear them. Because like, I think the guy who suggested it sounded like maybe he had stories, but I never got any. So if you have them, we would love to hear them.
That's cool.
But yeah,
good job. That was a lot of info.
Was it? Okay, good.
Yeah, no, I feel thoroughly educated on it.
I fucking dug deep. Let me tell you, I got that. I told you about it. I accidentally, well, now I paid for it, so it's mine, but I got a subscription to the old newspaper archive website, which I mean, I nerded out on pretty hard because you can just pull up all of these old ass newspapers.
Hey, that's super cool. I think that's
from like the
really
40s and 50s, because you can't get that just on the internet.
No, I love that.
Yeah, so that was fun. I was like, ooh, I bet there would be good like UFO articles and stuff in there.
Yeah, we should look that up.
Ooh, from the 60s and stuff. Yeah. Ooh, that would be cool.
That'd be so wild to see just like historical events on newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like the Kennedys.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
A whole new world. Anyway.
Good job. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Happy Halloween.
Yeah. Thank you for your suggestion, listeners. We love them.
Yes.
And look, we do them. Sometimes.
Try.
I know I'm not 100%.
Yeah, some of them we're like, oh, that's too big or that's too small, or I don't know, but we try our best.
Yeah. Sometimes they're intimidating, or sometimes there's just not enough info,
Yeah.
But this was a fun one.
Yeah, it was.
Do you have any you have anything you've been watching?
Watching?
Have you been watching anything?
No, I've been moving a lot, so I really I have TV episodes really backed up.
Oh yeah.
But
you
I
probably
will,
missed some Bobs.
we did watch the Halloween episode that came out.
Okay, that was a good.
We
one.
did watch that to give ourselves a break from the news. We did have breaks. I'm not like crazy. But, no, the one thing I made sure that I did watch was actually on Halloween night, since we figured, I guess we're just going to be alone now, not recording.
Yep.
So I was like, and we had boxes everywhere. So I just like, I'm going to make myself like some really bad food, like mac and cheese. And I made sure Chad hooked up the TV so I could watch my Ghost Adventure special.
Oh yeah.
Which was on like the Tiger King Zoo.
Oh.
And it's apparently haunted.
By tigers?
They do suggest that, but also like, what was his name? Travis, the guy that accidentally committed suicide.
Right.
There was some actual chilling stuff that thoroughly freaked me out.
Oh my god!
On it, it was a really good. It's like 2 hours long. Worth it.
I could see Travis as the type that wouldn't know he was dead, and it happened so fast.
The way that it happened too is just so tragic. So that was a fun little episode to watch.
Ooh, I remember I tried to watch a scary movie by myself. Michael, what was it? I can't remember. His laugh. Do you remember what I was watching?
Nope.
What did I watch?
Oh, The Invisible Man.
Oh yeah, I watched The Invisible Man. It's it's the new Elizabeth Moss Invisible Man.
Oh, I don't know.
There's a lot of plot holes, and I was disappointed.
Oh, I don't.
They needed me to believe too much. I can't. I reject it. So yeah, that was a disappointment. I should have just watched a good thing. I should have just watched something tried and true.
It's fine.
Oh well,
next year.
Days. I've been new podcast suggestion. I don't know if we have talked. I don't remember if we've talked about this one, but have you listened to the I Survived podcast?
Okay, wait. So I know there's a TV show, and I used to watch the TV show.
They made it into a podcast, bitch.
Oh my god, you're rocking my world right now. So I need to download it.
It is so fucking good.
I love those stories because you at least know they survive.
Yes, and it's told by the women.
Yes,
because it's all women.
Yes, of course. And fucking get attacked.
And it's just, I mean, the stories there are some that are so rough and so harrowing, and I was just like, but they're some of these women, like the stuff they live through, and then they just like turn it around and like are advocates and shit. Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't even know how you would do that. Like,
but then also like,
even just surviving is such, like, you did it. Good, yeah. Like, gold stars, you made it.
Right. Living through that trauma is enough, but then you do good out of it.
And like, of course, not all of them go on to do that. Like some, obviously still struggle, and it's like surviving is enough, but like,
for sure,
such a good podcast.
And to tell it like that is brave in itself, is to tell your own survive story and to live that story, to tell it. Like that's also what's like so fascinating about it, is to watch how they can, like, some of them are just so gracefully told with just as it is, and it's like, what, you have no arms anymore.
No, that's the crazy part, is that some of them just talk about it like it's like, well, they've probably told it a million times at that point, but like some of them do get emotional, but it's like some of them are clearly like not detached, but are able to talk about it in a way that I don't know if I would be able to. It's crazy.
No, I love that. I've been wanting to put like a I Survived story on my list. I just didn't want to do the typical one that we all know. Mary Vincent. Yeah, even though absolutely great story. If you don't know it, look it up immediately.
So good. She's so amazing.
But yeah, now I'm gonna listen to that. Maybe I'll do one soon.
Oh, you have to. The only sad part is it's not been around for very long, and there's not very many of them.
Okay, it's a fresh baby podcast, but it'll be amazing.
I'm pretty much already done.
That's just,
I'm pretty sure it came out 2020.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, love this.
Yeah, that's your new.
Thank you.
Because I fucking binged Radio Rental.
Yes.
Ugh, now it's gone.
I know, that's too short too. We need more of that shit.
That one was like. That was so
I got
good.
You on that one.
Oh, so good. Okay. I'm so glad.
We're getting better with our suggestions.
Everyone listen to both of those.
So good.
So trippy. I want to like tie Michael to a chair and make him listen to one.
I know, because as soon as I heard you listen to it, I'm like, okay, what about this story? Because this is what I think about this story.
Yeah. We had to talk about it. We had different ideas.
We did have different ideas. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. You guys talk about it and then tell us your ideas in the Facebook group. I want to hear it. I don't think I have any other suggestions this week.
Nah. Me neither.
Yeah. Been very consumed by everything else.
Just life has been crazy.
Yeah. Do you want to do social medias?
Oh, it's all the way up at the top now. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So we're on the internet, and we're on Instagram at Anxious and Afraid the Pod. We're on Facebook, like we mentioned. We have a group and a page that's Anxious and Afraid the Pod. Check us out on Twitter. That's at AA the Pod. We are on Patreon at patreon.com/anxious and afraid, where you can get day early episodes, a shout out, a sticker, and no ads, which is nice. Please tell us your ghost stories or suggestions at anxiousandafraidthepod@gmail.com.
We're going to read one on the next episode.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yay.
Yeah.
And check out our website, too, at anxiousandafraid.com. We have merch. You can check that out. And if you like what we're doing, give us a rate and a subscribe and support what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's all. I'm gonna say it.
Say it.
Good up and good night. Right, you guys ready for some credits? Well, you better be ready because there's a bunch. First one is asylumprojects.org, newspaperarchive.com, anokahalloween.com, mnopedia.org, startribune.com, courtlistener.com, collections.mnhs.org, and MN Paranormal on YouTube. Our music is by Broke for Free, and we are edited by Michael.
Anxious and Afraid is partnered with the Oracle Network.
The Menendez brothers. We are talking about Pamela Smart. Andrea Yates.
I think that is kind of one of the first things that started my true crime obsession.
We're definitely going to be diving into the legal and psychological parts of this case.
First of all, you shouldn't be friends with people that ask you to cut up somebody's body. And on the flip side, you shouldn't be friends with somebody who is willing to cut up somebody's body.
If she is abusing drugs at 9 and 12 years old, it would make sense that there was some significant abuse going on in the house.
That's not normal.
Never trust the mother or the lover.
Who is a self-professed drug dealer in court?
That's why we always say get a lawyer, because you just fed them this information that they didn't have, and they're now using it against you.
Hi everybody, my name's Mary.
And I'm Deirdre.
And we're from Not Your Normal Murder Podcast. With my experience in psychiatry
and my experience in criminal justice,
we bring a fresh perspective on small town cases and those cases you can't forget.
If you love true crime, a little bit of sarcastic banter, but lots of objective research, come find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts.
You know what's the best part of Hump Day? There's a new episode every Wednesday.
See you there.